It's full-time Devils. This is the Manchester United and Manchester City preview in the EFL Cup, our third derby of the season. The last one was, of course, won by City, unfortunately, and the one before that was won by, well, Mother Nature, if you remember. It got cancelled in China. But today I have got two massive Reds on with me today. Statman Dave is here, Stephen Nelson is here, and from Manchester City fans channel Blue Moon Rising, Stephen is here as well. That's right, we've got two Stephens just to confuse things. Right, guys, let's go straight into it and let's talk about goals. Both teams, I think, have been pretty poor recently defensively. Could we see loads on Wednesday night? Let's start with Statman Dave. What you say, mate?
I think they've both got similar problems. They've both got a lot of individual errors that have crept into the side. You know, you look at City, you've got John Stones, who's not having a very good time at the moment, Kolarov not standing up to shots from Lionel Messi. And then you look at Manchester United, Chris Smalling, absolutely atrocious at the weekend. Then Daley Blind, then David De Gea, Valencia. You know, the list goes on and on and on. So I think it's both down to massive individual errors. And that may be a concentration thing, maybe too many games, or maybe just the players aren't generally good enough. So there's a lot of questions for both sides, and this is the time to answer these questions.
Howson, are we going to see a goal fest then?
Not necessarily, no, because if you'd have gone into the Liverpool game looking at the way we set up and the way Liverpool set up and their recent results and our recent results, and then it ends 0-0. So it doesn't tell you that that's going to be the trend. What I think you might see is that or what might lead to a few goals is that there's a bit of talk that City are going to play a rotated side in this, and we're going to play a bit of a strong side in this. So if that being the case, I would expect us to score. Hang on. No, I don't expect us to score some goals. We better score some goals, if that's the case.
Stephen, what's gone wrong with City's defence then recently?
As Dave said, it's individual errors. It's a weird one because we're not conceding loads of chances. We're not like getting battered. We're just conceding goals. It's weird. Like players are making little mistakes that obviously are coming from not being over familiar with the system and how we're meant to play at the moment. And we're just getting these little simple errors, like a player moving out of position when he should be staying where he is for a pass. That happened with Stones and company the other day. Just not on the same wavelength. Or players just switching off at the moment. Given the fact that we play across the back, if that happens, you're screwed basically. And it's a little annoying because we're not really doing like a lot wrong defensively, other than just one moment of madness constantly. There's a little bit of bad luck there as well. But yeah, I probably think we will concede. I'm not sure it'll be a goal fest in terms of like a 4-3 or anything like that, but I'm expecting, at least a 2-1 to one team or another. I'm expecting there'll be 3 goals at least or something like that. But then having said that, it could be a dour, nothing of match of a game, given fate and so on. But yeah, it'll be interesting. And I think we might actually do a change team. Getting to that in a bit, I guess. But yeah, I think Alison might be right there with that one.
Now, I know in recent weeks you may have enjoyed watching Manchester United, to be honest, as a Man City fan. But is the one part of the team that you shouldn't enjoy watching? Because Eric Bailly, if you look at him, he's just suffered an injury. He's going to be out for a bit. But do you not think, why have we spent all this money on John Stones when a player like Eric Bailly was available? Because he looks twice the player.
I think that's vaguely short-termism, to be honest, because before that...
He's the same age!
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like looking at... It's only the last 2 games that Stones had a bit of a blip. Before that, he was excellent. He's been great all season. He's won a man of the match a couple of times. He's been strolling it. He's been England's best player when he played as well, in my humble opinion. He's had a bit of a... I actually don't think the mistake was his fault the weekend. I think Company, for some reason, darted forward 2 yards, but he's meant to be where he was. He should have looked, definitely, but he's not fully culpable for that. And in general, Stones has been decent so far. He's had a couple of mistakes in, but he's young. Bailey will make mistakes and has done against Watford. It's natural for any player moving to a new team, never mind a new system. I'm not worried. Bailey's a good player. John Stones is a good player.
He also still looks like his mum still cuts his hair. Anyway, moving on from defence, let's talk about attack, shall we? Let's talk about Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Dave, is there a reason for United fans to be worried about him? I mean, recently, he's looked half the player as he did at the start of the season, and he's missing easy chances.
I think it's a combination between, tiredness and maybe a lack of a little bit of form. And I'd also blame the Manchester United players as well, not just Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan is a poacher, he's a finisher, he'll score goals for you, he'll come deep, but then he'll get into the penalty area. And if United aren't crossing the ball well enough, or they're not putting enough balls into the area, or not creating enough space for him, then he's not going to score. He's not going to be the type of player anymore to pick up the ball from deep, beat 3 players and then put the ball in the back of the net. That was the old Zlatan Ibrahimovic. That was the Zlatan Ibrahimovic of maybe 5 years ago. But he does need a break, and I think this is the perfect time to give him a bit of a rest and then let him have a bit of anger. You know, wind him up a bit. But you've been dropped for this game, Zlatan. I'm going to drop you at the weekend as well. For Zlatan to come back and want to prove something, I think that's what Zlatan needs. He needs a bit of fire in his belly again. He looks a little bit flat, so yeah, drop him this game, and then if Rashford does come on, score a few goals, keep Rashford in at the weekend, and then let Zlatan build that fire, and then release him again, release the beast.
Howson, there's sort of 2 ways of looking at this going into this game against City, where you can rest Zlatan or leave him out just because then he's ready for the weekend, maybe fired up, ready to go. Or you can play him, hope that he gets a goal in a game which is, I know it's still a derby, but we know that City are going to put a weaker team out, and we know that there's less eyes on it than a usual Premier League game. Or you can play him and hope he gets a goal and boost his confidence back up. But is confidence really a problem with Zlatan?
I don't think confidence is a problem for Zlatan. He could come off having had the worst game ever, and I'm sure he'd have a word with himself in the car on the way home like, that was kind of average today. Even though it might have been the worst performance anyone's ever seen, and he'd be like, "That's probably still the best player, though." I think his confidence is ridiculously high, especially his self-confidence. So I wouldn't think it's a game that he's going to need to get his confidence up. I do think that he needs to start scoring, but I think I would probably rest him in this one, because I think tiredness and the relentlessness of the Premier League can start to take its toll on players, and especially a 35-year-old player, no matter what condition he's in. I think he's in excellent physical condition. I think resting him is probably a good thing, and use him more effectively against Burnley. We have got other strikers we can use, and there's other players that I would rather see not play at weekend that I think would be better suited to given an opportunity against City.
Here's a thought for you guys. Is this the first time in a long time that Zlatan's been maybe in a team that isn't dominating, that isn't really just running away with the league, so to speak, because he's been used to that. He's been winning league titles everywhere. He's always been in a team that is basically at the top, and it's probably the first time for a while, given the fact that he's pretty old as well, that he's been in a team that isn't just running away with the title. And is that maybe a little bit for hard for him?
He also plays for Sweden, and he's always scored goals for Sweden.
True.
And
true.
Sweden have never dominated anything. So I think he's a good footballer. People are far too quick to judge him and say, he's come from all these pony leagues and he's not good enough. Well, do you know what? The guy's a hell of a footballer. It's just that the team's not working around him at the moment, and he's having a little bit of a misfire. But he's got 5 goals in 10 Premier League appearances, in 10 starts for Manchester United this year. So, are we saying that that's a horrific return? No, if he had no goals in 10 games, that'd have been a bad return. 5 in 10's not a bad return. That's a par return. We only thought he'd get about 20 goals this season anyway. Nobody was saying he was going to get 50. Everyone thought he might get 20, 22, maybe 23. So he's well on course for getting that. It's only October.
I think that the real concern, for me personally, when I'm watching him, is that he's getting big chances in games where you really rely on a real world-class forward to be finishing, and he's not doing. And these chances have been the difference in some massive games, especially against Liverpool, which could have given us the 3 points, which would have had us in a completely different mood this week. That's my concern with Zlatan Ibrahimovic anyway. But let's talk about the starting 11 then, see who you guys want to start. Howson, who is in your United team to play City?
Well, I reckon we are going to go with a fairly strong side, but I'm going to do a little bit of rotation in there because there's players that I think deserve minutes and I would rather see rested. I want to see Rashford rested because I think there's a danger of burning him out a little bit. I've seen a lot of people saying we should start Rashford and go with Rashford up front. Well, I still think there's areas of his game that he needs to work on. And if somebody like Zlatan can't hold the ball up or can't get a grip of the game in the middle, out of number 9 at the moment, Marcus Rashford's not going to be able to. Rashford works best as an impact, so I would like to see him on the bench for this one if we need him. But I'm gonna rest him. I'm gonna rest Zlatan. I'm gonna go with, and let me just pull it up, Big Dave in net, Valencia, Smalling, Blind, and Shaw as my back 4. I think we're gonna go pretty strong with that. I do think Tuanzebe is on the cusp of getting his opportunity from a bench as a backup. But seeing as though he played on Monday night in the under-23s, I don't think he's going to get his opportunity just yet. And midfield of Fosu-Mensah, Carrick and Herrera, with Carrick maybe sitting behind Herrera and Fosu-Mensah a little bit. And then my attacking 3 of Mata on the right, Marshall on the left, and I'm going to put Wayne Rooney up front. Not because I think he's a good striker, and he actually frustrates the shit out of me when he's playing as a number 9 because he moves all over the pitch. But I think with Mata and with Marshall up there as well, I think the goals will come And I think this is a good enough team to take on whatever City pull out, because I don't think it'll be their strongest team.
Statman Dave, tell me your team.
Well, I think David De Gea in goal, that's it's an easy one, that. And then my back four is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to rotate after the shocking display against Chelsea. I think Darmian's going to come in at right back. I'd like to see Fosu Mensah at centre-back with Daley Blind. I'd like to see that Dutch connection there with, Blind's calmness and Shaw at left-back. I just want to see something else. I don't think Chris Smalling, there's too many questions with him, really. He's not a leader. That ball that came over the top after 30 seconds, he should have made that his ball. Yeah. He should have dealt with that, and he didn't do that. And unfortunately, is he good enough for Manchester United? Is he good enough to win the Premier League? These are all questions that I've got to be asking him. And if he doesn't turn his form around, and I'd like to see Shaw back at left back, I think he gives a lot more. Up against Sane or Sterling, I think that his pace is going to be, needed there. I'm going to go Michael Carrick at defensive midfield. I think he showed against Fenerbahce that he's still got a lot of football to play for Manchester United. I think he'll give United a bit more in terms of leadership as well, just in front of those two centre-backs. And Herrera, Pogba in midfield, and a front three of Mkhitaryan, Martial and Rashford. I think that the pace is needed against this City backline. If we can isolate the City backline, then we've got chances to score. We saw it against Barcelona. City went with a back four, but the amount of times that they were getting isolated 3v3 at the back versus Messi, Suarez, Neymar, it was ridiculous. And I want to see United doing that. I want them to defend in a slightly different way. I want to defend in a four, but leave one of the wide forwards up top to join Rashford. So I'd like to see Martial and Rashford stay up top and not defend, and let the other four, Pogba, Carrick, Herrera and Mkhitaryan, to do the work and then play on the counter-attack. And that's exactly how I want to play Manchester City, because there's definitely space to expose City, especially out wide where the fullbacks sort of vacate that space.
I'll tell you what I really want to see, and I think we've got a great opportunity to see it on Wednesday night. With Zlatan obviously in poor form, maybe needing a rest, with Rashford playing so many games, I think we could see Anthony Martial playing at number 9, and that is what I want to see. Steve, from Blue Moon Rising TV, you've heard both them teams. Are any of them striking any fear in your blue heart?
It's all about form, isn't it, really? So I'd be naive to be terrified, but obviously they're good teams. They're decent teams, they're good players there. I do think we'll play a slightly weakened team. I think we have to. We've had a lot of games. I think the players are looking on the verge of getting injured because they're looking a little bit leggy, and I think we just need to rotate. And I think Pep will be relatively loyal to some of the young lads who did really well against Swansea. It's United's. I think United will play a slightly stronger team than us. I think it's probably more essential, if I'm being honest. I think at home, given the fact that the last derby, given the fact there's relative pride at stake, I think you've got a little bit more to lose than us at the moment for obvious reasons, given the fact we're just a little high in the league, so to speak. But yeah, I don't really fear United at the moment. Sorry, I don't. I'll be honest. I think there's no reason for us to either. I think there's as bad as things have been for us the last 5 games, we're still sat at the top of the league. Things could be a lot worse.
Steve, City recently obviously are in poor form. I mean, United are as well, but City, the last 5 games have been pretty rough. Which players in particular have been the most disappointing then, that you think that United may try and expose a little bit?
It's more of a collective thing, I reckon. I don't think any players have been particularly awful.
It's been individual errors, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been but they've not really necessarily been awful, other than just switched off for a few minutes. Like I think Stones.
Johnny Bravo's been pretty awful, mate.
Johnny Bravo hasn't had a good start, but he was great the other day, actually. He was fine the other day. He's liable. I think basically the problem we've got is the back 5 or back 4, depending on what formation we're playing, are still working how to do this. So Bravo is not communicating well with Stones, and Stones isn't communicating well with Company the other day. Kolarov is being Alexander Kolarov, so an absolute mixed bag of either shit or brilliance. So he's been basically him. And we're getting players making a little bit of mistakes through hesitancy, through not fully understanding the system yet, because it requires extreme level of perfection to get it right. So in general, it's more of a collective, I reckon. I think they all just need to cut out the individual mistakes. They need to just wake up a little bit more focused. And if so, it should be okay. Southampton, here's a stat for you. Before that game, I think they'd only... I'm going to outdo Statman Dave here.
I was going to say, don't be giving us stats.
I think they conceded 7 goals in the Premier League. 5 of them were penalties. 1 was a direct free kick and only 1 from open play. So in general, they're defensively excellent. So they were brilliant at the weekend. So I'm not too worried about.
Sounds like an excuse to me.
It's a beautiful excuse. It's a great excuse.
I've heard. It's been bad luck, individual errors, and Southampton are just too good. They're the excuses that I've heard so far.
Right? He's
He'll get
gone
a
5
fraud.
games without a win, which is equal worst he's ever done, right? He's going to get handed his 6th, and the papers are going to say nothing about it because Pogba got a new
the top
haircut.
of the league, mate. That's why. So you can make mistakes when you're top of the league. And if he hadn't been so excellent at the start of the season, maybe he wouldn't be top now. But he's deserved a blip in form because he's been so brilliant. So when you get good for 10 games, that's what gives you get out of jail free card. So.
All right, boys. I tell you what, Alison, I wish I was as confident as you every week. I'll tell you that. Right, let's get score predictions in then. Statman Dave, what are you saying?
I'm going to go 2-1 United. I think City will open up the scoring, but we'll chuck on some players and we'll score some goals.
Halson, what score are you saying?
Yeah, I thought 2-1 as well. I think it'll be a bit of a cautious game still. But yeah, I think we'll edge it.
Steve, what are you saying?
6. No, I'm joking. 2-1. 2-1. Kelechi. He's going to get both, I reckon.
That 6-1 never counted, mate. We got the best goal in that game. Right, anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining us today. Stephen Elson, Statman, Dave, and Steve from Man City Fans channel, Blue Moon Rising. Guys, get in the comments below. Get in your opinions if you agree with us. If you disagree with us, do all that malarkey. Give us a subscribe. Give the video a like. Do all that stuff. Right, back next time. See you later.